Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Foxy New.
David Morrell can destroy David Benavidez the same way Crawford did Errol Spence. And look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And when I look at David Benavidez versus David Morrell, I see this as a 50-50 fight. Two young, hungry fighters ready to go at it. It's a very, very intriguing and interesting fight. When you look at it and you break it down, you could see how David Morrell could abuse David Benavidez the same way Terrence Crawford did Errol Spence Jr. And look, let me break it down. First off, you see that David Benavidez's chin has not truly been tested by a big puncher. Similar to Errol Spence, neither of these guys had been in with massive power punchers. I mean, think about it. Errol Spence fighting guys like, Lamont, and he fought guys like Ugas. He fought guys like Porter. He fought those type of guys. None of those guys were big power punchers. I mean, let's just be honest and unbiased. Danny Garcia, not a huge power puncher. And so we understand that. We see David Benavidez, the same thing. The guy has not been in with huge power punchers. You look at Caleb Plant. You look at Demetrius Andre. You look at David Lemieux, who's a 160-pound fighter, blown up. I mean, you look at Volstic. None of these guys were massive power punchers. But what we do know is that David Benavidez has been on the canvas. We understand that by a journeyman. So we know this. So we know the fact that David Benavidez does not have an elite chin. His chin is not Triple G or Canelo Alvarez. We know that. His fanboy is going to tell you he's this, the hardest guy to hit and hurt and all of this. All of that is cap because we've seen him on the ground against a journeyman. So we know that. That's a fact. Another reason why David Morrell may be able to abuse David Benavidez similar to Crawford did Spence is simply because David Morrell is the more skilled fighter of the two. David Morrell has a full plethora of skills. He has excellent footwork, excellent counterpunching, excellent defense. He has a longer reach. You remember with Spence Crawford, Terrence Crawford had a longer reach than Errol Spence that helped him control the distance. Similar is David Morrell has a longer reach than David Benavidez that's going to help him control the distance. Not only that, you see David Benavidez similar to Errol Spence. Both of these guys are one-way pressure fighters. So both of these guys are one-dimensional pressure fighters. That's what these guys are. And that's what David Benavidez does. He's come forward, he pressures you, and he throws punches and bunches, and he tries to break you. The same thing that Errol Spence Jr. does. And David Benavidez only has one way he can fight David Morrell, and that's constantly attacking him. With David Morrell's excellent footwork, excellent counterpunching, and fast speed and long reach, he's going to counter this man at will, nonstop, all fight long, similar to Terrence Crawford picking apart Errol Spence Jr. This could be a destruction. Let's just be honest and unbiased. When you look at it and you break it down, you see that it's entirely possible. Now, the only way that this does not happen is if David Morrell, with only 11 fights, simply does not have the experience necessary to apply that game plan against David Benavidez. You see Terrence Crawford basically had 40 fights when he fought Errol Spence. He has an ocean of experience professionally, more than David Morrell with only 11 fights against Benavidez. So you see, the experience factor is going to be huge. If he does not have enough experience to land those shots, to set up those shots, and to break down David Benavidez in a similar fashion. We know he has the skills, but does he have the experience? If he's lacking the experience, then David Benavidez's pressure will eventually overwhelm David Morrell to where he breaks him. Let's just be honest and unbiased.